If your glasses were a car, then the lenses would be the engine. It's a simplistic analogy, I know, but it does hold true, because after all, whilst we want our glasses to look great, we also want to see great as well. And did you know, most people don't, that the lenses within your glasses play a huge role in how clearly you see the world? It's not all just about your prescription. So in today's video, we're going to be rating, reviewing, comparing and contrasting some of the world's best spectacle lens brands to see which are the best, which are the worst, and which ones you should buy for your next pair of glasses. So hi, I'm Robert, Style and Vision Consultant here at the Spectacle Factory, and it's my job to pair you with your perfect pair of glasses. And an integral part of your perfect glasses are the perfect lenses. We recently did a tier list for frame brands, and that was one of our most successful ever videos, one of our most popular, and you guys seem to love it. So I thought, why not focus on lenses? Because if you've chosen your perfect frames, all you need are the perfect lenses, and you've got your perfect glasses. So without further ado, let's get into this. We're gonna have a bit of fun. I've ranked the categories as 4K, HD, SD, and VHS. Hopefully that kind of makes sense to you. I just picked that as a kind of terminology to represent the level of quality within the spectacle lens industry. VHS being obviously the most old-fashioned technology out there. And it'll be interesting to see if any lenses actually fall into that category, but let's find out. So let's we'll work from bottom left to top right. So starting with Rodenstock. And actually Rodenstock are a difficult brand to categorize. And the reason that I say that is they are extremely good, but maybe not quite top tier. So let me tell you a little bit about Rodenstock. They are a German lens manufacturer, I believe actually slightly older than Zeiss. That I might be wrong with that, but that's what I've got in my head. And those two just compete. They compete with each other constantly throughout generations. Some people prefer Zeiss, some people prefer Rodenstock. There's an old story about an optician in Germany who, when he saw his clients, he used to sell exclusively Zeiss, and then they had a falling out, and he went over to the dark side, I guess, of Rodenstock, and his message to his customers was, do you want Zeiss lenses or do you want the best lenses? And if they chose the best, he would suggest Rodenstock. But for me, they are not the best. They do have some interesting technologies. Their Big Vision, as they call it, which stands for Biometric Intelligent Glasses, is very interesting technology. What it means is that when they are constructing your spectacle lenses, they're feeding in a lot of information about the anatomy of your eyes. You see, the prescription that you have for your eyes does actually tell us a little bit about the shape of your eyes, and the shape of your eyes determines how you focus through the lenses, separately to the prescription itself. So Big Vision is designed to give you the most natural vision by incorporating data about the biometrics of your eyes. It's not the most exciting technology I've ever heard, but it is a pretty cool technology. They also have similar technologies to the eye profiler that we use by Zeiss. They call it their DNI scanner, and I've heard good things about it. Maybe not quite as good as Zeiss, but nevertheless, Rodenstock are definitely up there. I would put them in the HD category. Next up, we'll skip Zeiss just for a second. We'll leave that there. We'll look at IoT. And IoT is a lens brand that you have probably never heard of, but I'm a huge fan of IoT. And the reason is because they're a completely independent lens designer. As you're going to see throughout this video, there is less competition in the lens market than you would probably think. And stay tuned to find out what I mean by that. But with IoT, they're a completely independent lens designer who actually don't make lenses, so they don't manufacture anything, but they sell their lens designs to independent laboratories all over the world, some of whom we use. They create hundreds of different design of lenses, whether it's single focus, varifocals, progressive lenses, and you can do a lot of customization, maybe more customization with an IoT lens than any other lens in the world. So a lab can go to IoT, they can license their designs. So what I mean by the design of a lens is all the data, all the mathematical data that goes into the computer that then manufactures that lens. The manufacturing is actually the easy bit. It's the science behind that manufacturing that tells the machine how to cut your lens, how to design it from point to point. That is the crucial bit about your lenses, and IoT are one of the few companies in the world actually designing lens designs from scratch. They get a lot of credit from me for that. However, they're not they're not always the best because you have that inconsistency, because anybody can use an IoT design. That means you have some really rubbish quality IoT lenses and some absolute best in the world class IoT lenses. And just because of that, I'm going to put them in the HD tier with Rodenstock. Not bad at all. In fact, one of the best lens designers out there. Like I said, we use them obviously with high quality labs in partnership, and they're great for orders where a client wants something really out of the box that none of the other mainstream lens manufacturers will do. Next up, Seiko. So Seiko definitely not as good as the first two that I have touched on so far, in my opinion. Seiko are now a subsidiary of Hoya, one of the 3 brands in this list that are actually under that same umbrella. Don't get me wrong, Seiko make good quality lenses, but I just feel, especially since they've been purchased by Hoya, there's been a severe lack of innovation in their designs. If we go back 5 or 10, roughly 10 years, Seiko were one of the best. They were towards the top. And one thing that they get a lot of credit from me for is their use of Tribrid. Tribrid is a hybrid material of Trivex, which combines 3 unique properties. It's ultra clear because it's got high ab value. Check out my lens materials guide for more information on that. It is ultra strong, like almost unbreakable, and ultra lightweight at the same time. No other lens material in the world has all those 3 properties to the same extent as Tribrid. And Seiko are the only brand on this list, other than IoT, because they do everything, who actually work with Tribrid. So they definitely get credit from me for that. I'm going to put them in the SD category. I guess we've got to get Zeiss out of the way now. You've probably been waiting for this one, and you probably know if you're watching this channel that I am a Zeiss fanboy. Listen, I don't think I am biased, because I really try to leave my bias at the door. As much as I am a fan of certain brands, so for example, like Seiko, I absolutely adore Grand Seiko, which is the watch division. If I could have a Grand Seiko watch, I would have that over any Rolex, Patek Philippe, you name it. Grand Seiko is like my ultimate dream watch. Doesn't mean that I'm going to sell them in my store, as much as I love their brand, because I don't feel they're the best for my clients. When you consider all aspects, all facets of lens manufacturing and design, I genuinely believe that Zeiss are the best in the world. And the proof is in their history, really, because Zeiss were the first to make a toric lens design. That means a lens that corrects for astigmatism. They were the first in the world to use anti-reflective coated lenses. They invented that technology. They were the first in the world for so many things, and they keep innovating all the time. You know, in the last 10 years, nobody, in my opinion, has innovated more than Zeiss. With technologies like DriveSafe, the first in the world to look at specifically filtering out headlight glare. Things like Smart Life technology, which I wear in most of my glasses, which generally give me the most natural vision possible. Technologies like PhotoFusion X, which has just come out last year, that is 80% faster to react and changes from clear to dark so much faster than any other lenses that have come before. You just can't argue with Zeiss being at the very top of the tree when it comes to lens manufacturing. That's why we partner with them. That's why if a client asks me what lenses to get, I almost always say Zeiss. With the introduction of Clearview, we now have really affordable Zeiss lenses that are still excellent quality, and I would recommend all day long. So they've got to go in the 4K tier. Next up, Pentax. So Pentax complete the triumvirate of manufacturers within Hoya's portfolio. So they are owned by Hoya. For a long time, they were kind of in the doldrums. Pentax are obviously a historic camera lens manufacturer, world famous, and one of actually the most recognizable lens names in the world. But they lost their way over the years because they were just a licensed brand that was used by some of the much cheaper opticians in the market. And Hoya have brought them back just as that. It's their really cheap, really affordable lens line. Having said that, you know, I've been pleasantly surprised by the quality. For the price, they're probably the best on the market. If you're getting a Pentax lens, it should be inexpensive, but it will be a good lens. Having said that, there is absolutely nothing special about them at all. There's nothing innovative in the Pentax range. They don't even make their own lenses. Like I said, it's made by Hoya. It's like the cheaper division of Hoya. So I'm going to put them, it pains me to say it, but they have to go in the VHS category, because they are old technology, but they are affordable. And if you're looking for a cheap pair of glasses, I would definitely go with Pentax lenses. They're the best affordable lens brand in the world, but they're not going to give you great vision. They're going to give you acceptable vision, maybe good vision. Kodak, instant VHS tier. Basically everything that I've just said about Pentax applies to Kodak. If you go back to when I started in the industry, Kodak were one of the best lens manufacturers, a division of Signet Armalite, who I don't think exist anymore. The Kodak name has just been passed around from different companies. It's just a licensed name. They don't make their own lenses. If you're buying Kodak, you are just paying for the name because it's not made by them. Definitely VHS tier. Next up, one of my favorite and one of my least favorite lens manufacturers in the world. We've got Essilor and Hoya. I'll start with Essilor. So Essilor, here's the thing. Here's another thing that's going to show my lack of bias in these videos. I hate Essilor with a passion. They're actually part of Luxottica now. It's called Essilor Luxottica. They formed together. And if you check out my frame tier list video, I rated Luxottica frames as the very bottom tier of glasses. And I hate Essilor just as much as I hate Luxottica because they stand for all of the same things, as you're going to see. Just like Luxottica, they have attempted to dominate the global eyewear market by buying up all the other lens brands that they can get their hands on. It goes further than that because they actually buy the lens casters, which are generally in China. These are the companies that make the raw materials that every other lens brand uses. Essilor own huge parts of the whole supply chain, and you would be shocked if you found out how much of a monopoly they really have. That said, they make excellent quality lenses. They were actually the inventors of varifocals, so you've got to give them credit for that. And Verilux lenses, which are their line of varifocals or progressive lenses, they are very, very good quality. I think the portfolio was a bit bloated because there are so many different options within their lineup, which does get very confusing. But that's because they're trying to attack every part of the market. They're trying to get wearers at all price points. Essilor do a lot of research. They spend a lot more on marketing, and they're definitely the kings of marketing because brands like Crizal and Verilux, as I mentioned, Eisen, Transitions, they own all of those technologies. And don't get me wrong, they are all very good technologies, but there is a hell of a lot of marketing behind them as well. I would say that all of those segments, there are better products out there, but you probably haven't heard of them. So, despite the fact that I hate Essilor with a passion because of their attempt to monopolize the eyewear market, I'm going to put them in the 4K tier because they do make great lenses. I can't doubt that, and I can't tell you not to buy Essilor. I would definitely recommend Essilor lenses, not from a moral perspective or an ethical perspective, but definitely from a quality perspective. And next up, Hoya. These are going to definitely be between HD and 4K. Hoya are one of my favorite lens manufacturers in the world. For people who don't quite want to spend as much as Zeiss, I'll generally always recommend Hoya because they make lenses that are close to the quality of Zeiss, but a lot less expensive. They have, I think, the best lens coatings in the world, and the lens coatings on your glasses actually make a huge difference to them in terms of the durability, in terms of the day-to-day convenience of not having to clean them so often, all of that stuff. It makes your glasses a lot easier to live with. Hoya lenses are made across the world. Obviously, they're a Japanese company, but they have factories across Europe and I think in the US as well. And I like Hoya. I'm a big fan. So all things considered, I'm going to put them in the 4K category. I definitely recommend Hoya lenses. Next up, Nikon. This might surprise you because Nikon are probably the most expensive lens brand in the world, but they're going straight in the SD category. And the reason for that is similar to Seiko. I've just not seen much innovation from them over recent years. And again, you might be surprised to find this out, but they're not independent. Nikon spectacle lenses are completely 100% owned by Essilor. Nikon lenses don't do anything special. They are very good quality. You'll definitely get a good level of vision from them, just like with Seiko. I wouldn't say don't buy a Nikon lens. It's definitely better than an unbranded lens in terms of quality, but there's no reason really to search out Nikon lenses, in my opinion. I also think they're way overpriced for what they are for the reasons that I've said. Next up is Shamir, and guess what? Also owned by Essilor. But there is a bit of a difference because Shamir have huge ties to they're an Israeli company, they have huge ties to the Israeli military, they have a lot of military contracts. Just like as with a lot of other industries, when military spending gets involved, you have huge innovation. They are one of the pioneers of freeform technology, which all lens designs are now based on. The original three were Zeiss, Shamir, and Seiko. But unlike Seiko, they haven't lost their way at all. They're still innovating. And even though they're 100% owned by Essilor, unlike Nikon, they're still creating really unique products. For example, last year, their award-winning new technology was Metaform lenses, which Looks super interesting actually. I've been reading up on them a lot. I actually don't have too much experience selling them, recommending them to clients, but I'm definitely going to be testing those at some point. It sounds really interesting. They're talking about a complete lens where the coating is almost not separate from the lens itself. It's just a single film that is bonded to the lens rather than the typical applied coatings that literally every other brand does, where it's applied in layers one at a time with different properties. So you might have like an anti-static layer, then an anti-scratch layer, then a waterproof layer, then another anti-scratch. With Metaform technology, Shamir are doing it all within the single manufacturing process. And they say that that makes the lenses a lot more durable, a lot thinner, and gives you amazing vision. And do you know what? I believe them if they say that, because Shamir have a great track record. They were the first company to use artificial intelligence in their lens designs. I would have absolutely zero hesitation recommending Shamir. I'm going to put them in the 4K category, and I wasn't sure about that before I started this video, but as I list off all those different things, I think they've got to be in there. They also make great sport lenses. They're one of the two companies, I would say, Shamir and Zeiss make the best sports lenses in the world. If you want glasses for things like tennis, golf, go with either Zeiss or Shamir. Last two, Leica, obviously world famous. I think in the camera world, Leica are considered the best. I'm not a camera expert myself, but photographers seem to absolutely rave about Leica. They're the only store that I see like dedicated Leica stores all around. Again, they don't actually make their own spectacle lenses. They're made by a separate company in France, but I believe that they are working very closely together. And I think that's kind of interesting because it's probably the one brand out there that carries the weight that Zeiss does in the optics space. But at this moment in time, I have no clue what Leica lenses are like. I actually have a pair on order and I'm going to be testing them soon, so make sure to subscribe for that. I think we'll both find that really interesting to see how the Leica lenses perform against the Zeiss that I typically wear. And one thing that actually really struck me is that Leica make lenses specifically for photographers with apparently a different design within the lens for viewing your camera and viewing the, well, I should say specifically the viewfinder of your camera. That is really interesting. For now, I'm going to leave Leica here. I'm not going to categorize it because I just don't know enough about them. They only relaunched in 2019 and there's just not enough information out there for me to really give a firm opinion, but I'm quite excited to find out how they do perform. And finally, we have Maui Jim. Now, Maui Jim, in my opinion, makes some of the best prescription sunglass lenses in the world and some of the best sunglass lenses in general, you know, even without prescription. I think Maui Jim deserve their place in this list, and I think as non-prescription sunglasses, Maui Jim are definitely in the 4K category. There's no question about that. Their lens designs, by the way, are actually borrowed from Shamir. So Shamir create the lens designs used by Maui Jim, which is another interesting fact for you. I'm going to put them on balance in the HD category. So there you have it. I think that is my final tier list. We've got Zeiss, Essilor, Hoya and Shamir in the top category. Those are the ones you really want to look out for. Maui Jim, IoT, if you're looking for something more specialized. Rodenstock, I don't really see a reason to buy them nowadays over the other four in the top category. Seiko, Nikon, not bad, but again, no reason to choose them. And Pentax and Kodak, kind of avoid unless you have to. But what do you think of my tier list? Do you wear lenses from a brand that I've featured in today's video? Or do you not even know what lenses are in your glasses? If you don't, I'd encourage you to find out. And maybe give one of these a try and see if you can notice the difference. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts and leave them in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful or interesting, give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more of the best eyewear content on the internet. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks guys, bye bye.